Hi there, and welcome to this month's StemBox tutorial. As usual, I'm Kina.
And I'm Caroline.
Caroline, what are we making this month?
This month we are making light up cell phone cases.
I am so excited. I cannot wait to use this. I always lose my cell phone in my purse, but these ones are special because they light up. So we partnered with Lectrify this month to bring you this experiment. Do you want to tell us a little bit about our kits this month and what else Lectrify does?
Yeah, so Lectrify makes little pop-out circuit boards. So we have their Light It circuit board, and it comes with a regular switch and a tilt switch, and then these two little light bulbs. So I'll show you. It kind of turns on, and then if you shake it, this other bulb turns on. There we go.
Yeah, it's kind of the most amazing thing.
And then we have one of their bigger boards, which is great if you want to experiment on your own, and we actually popped some of these little guys out for you so you can do more projects at home.
And not to mention, but we are wearing our own little StemBox buttons as usual. So if you have yours at home, feel free to put it on now. You earned it. You just opened a box. So yeah, I think we are ready to get started. If you don't own a cell phone, don't worry. We have another idea that you can use to use your kit with, and it's just as awesome. I did it when I was in Girl Scouts and I loved it. All right, well, ready to get started?
Yep.
Okay. So to get started, you're gonna need to have nearby your phone for measurement's sake, your Light It kit, your button, some good scissors, conductive thread, and a needle. And that's what you need to get going. So we're gonna get started. So the first step is to measure out how much of this you're going to need, how much felt. We provided two colors because we're not sure what color you guys prefer. I'm gonna leave about 2 inches, 1 inch to 2 inches on the bottom and the side. I'm gonna fold it over the felt to find out where I should cut, just in half, and it's about right there. So I'm gonna make a tiny little snip so I can keep track of it. And then I'm just gonna do one big cut. And then we only need about 2 to 3 inches above the phone. So then I'm also going to cut like this. So now that I know how big I need my phone case to be, I'm gonna go ahead and take my phone off. I'm gonna take my circuit, and you see how it turns on, and there's the tilt switch, so if you move it up and down or you move it around, the second light turns on. So we know it works. So all I have to do now is pop out the pieces by wiggling carefully back and forth, and then just applying pressure until they come out. Very carefully, otherwise you'll get a little cut, and that's no fun. Just tilt it back and forth. Yep, that's a pop out. They weren't joking when they said it pops out. Don't worry, they're pretty durable, so you won't break anything. So now we have our board that's empty. So now that we have everything cut out and we've sized it properly, we've punched out the pieces of our Light It kit. We're going to set them up in the order that we're gonna sew them onto the fabric. So if you need some guidance, I would look at the way they set it up on the Light It and just replicate that on your felt. And the way this is going to work is once we're placed and ready to go, we are going to sew these into place using conductive thread. So this thread is different from regular thread in that it is coated with a metallic lining, so something like silver that'll conduct electricity through the wire. But for us, all we need to do is place our circuit the way we want it to show up on our front of our phone case. So I'm gonna put my battery here with the red side up, the white side down. I'm gonna add my next LED with the red side available on the top, the white on the bottom. In between those, I'm gonna add the little tilt switch, and then I'm also going to finish it with my last LED with the red side up, white side down. Sound good? So this is our battery. Make sure the battery is in it with the switch turned off, the white side down, the red side up. You want your LED number 1 at the top with a red side up, white side down. These colorless holes are what we're gonna use to sew everything in place with the regular thread. This is our tilt switch. You can put these any way you want. I'm probably just gonna leave them like that. And LED number 2, we're gonna take our regular thread and we're gonna take a bunch of it and get ready to sew. And I know that these tiny little holes in the top of your needle can be so difficult to thread, so in your sewing kit, you should have one of these silver little threaders. And the way you use this is you stick a little metal through the hole, and it's totally naked when you do this. You hold it in one hand, and meanwhile, you grab the end of your thread and you weave it through, just like the end of it, or you can fold it in half, whatever's easiest for you. Push that through, and then make a tail so that you have this much sticking out, and then pull it through using this through the needle, the eye of the needle. And then you pull, pull, pull. Ta-da, you've threaded a needle. So that's how you use this thing, the needle threader. And we're just gonna take another long double strand like this and make a cut. Put that to the side. Grab the last piece, bring these together like that. And so then you have 2 strings looped at the top of your needle. And we're just gonna make a couple of knots around the end by tying it around my finger a few times. That's pretty good. So a knot that big would be great. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna sew the pieces of our circuit onto the felt using the non-conductive parts. So that's anything that's yellow, not white, not red, not green. And if it has metal on it, so like the battery you see, like it's all just red and white, I'm just gonna pick these 2 holes that have no metal around them, and I'm gonna sew around those. So I'm gonna move these pieces. I'm gonna come through the back of the felt, and I'm gonna try and estimate where that hole is, right there. And I'm gonna make a few loops around it. And I will come around to the other one and do the same thing. You can lock the stitch by moving under the stitch you just made with your needle and pulling it through almost all the way, but you'll see you'll have a loop, and then pulling your needle through that loop to make a tiny little knot. And then do it one more time for an extra secure stitch. Like this. Pull this up. And if the thread gets a little knotted, that's okay. Not a big deal. And then we'll snip it. So now what I want to do is I want to make sure that I connect my LED. So I'm going to make sure to come up through the back and attach it through the positive. And I'm going to go again for this non-metallic piece of it. And so locked that one, and now I'm gonna add, oh, now I feel that, my tilt switch. So I'm going to make sure that I'm sewing through just the clear non-metallic part. So I'm gonna come through there, do like a few stitches. And time for the last piece. Put the red up, white down. I'm gonna put this through here. So it should look like this from their point of view. So everything is connected just on the non-metallic pieces, and now it won't fall off while we're trying to sew everything in. Okay? So now we're gonna take off the regular thread. We're gonna come to our metallic thread, and we're gonna grab plenty of this, so just a few times around. You don't have to take as much as this in one sitting, but you do want enough to make it through without having to make a bunch of knots over and over again. So we're gonna tie this, and we're gonna start connecting our circuit. So we're gonna start at the positive side. That means the red side of this battery, and I'm gonna come through one of the metallic holes like that. And I'm gonna make several loops, or several tight loops around it. So it's pretty tight. We want to make sure that it's getting a good connection because you want the metal to touch the string and to have a good enough connection that you can get an electric current going through it. So now I want to make a cute little line to my positive red on my first LED. So I want these to look a little bit like butterflies. So I'm just going to go in and out, weaving it through the felt several times. Just keep an eye on what's going on the back. Okay, so now I'm connecting it through the hole on the red side of LED number 1, and I'm gonna make sure again to make several loops so that the loops of the thread are really tight against the metallic part of the red LED number 1. Just like that. And now we're gonna go from here to the first metallic hole on the tilt switch. So I'm gonna make another cute little bumblebee line all the way over there. All right, so now we're gonna come up underneath like this, and we're gonna go through that hole on the tilt switch again. Just like we did for LED number 1 and the battery, we're gonna make several loops so that it's a nice tight connection. Okay, got a good knot. And this is what the back looks like so far. And now we have to connect the white part of LED number 1 to the white part of the battery. So we're just gonna do the same exact thing, making another cute few loops and cute bumblebee lines. And then we can snip this. And we'll flip it over, and it should turn on. So far we have one light working so far. And now we want to make sure to make the connection between our tilt switch, our LED, and our battery so that we can see everything turn on. So now we're going to pick up from behind the second metallic hole on the tilt switch. So don't use the first one, but use the one that you haven't used yet. That's this one down here. And we're going to connect this to our red positive hole on the LED number 2. And sometimes you can see, like, if I accidentally touch the thread here, it lights up the other LED, because that's just how a circuit works. As soon as you close the connection, those electrons start to flow. And then we'll flip it over. And so the last connection, you can see this one still lights up, but still nothing from the tilt switch. So we're gonna turn this off, and we're gonna connect this white metallic loop on LED number 2 to any of these 2 metallic loops on the battery. And I'm just gonna go ahead and connect to the same white metallic loop we used for LED number 1, which is totally fine. And I'm gonna come up through the back again. Thread, right there. And now we don't need any more conductive thread, but this is the moment of truth. Get my hair out of there. If you turn this on, this one works for sure. And now we have to see if the tilt switch works, which it does. So you just see that by moving this back and forth, the light turns on. So we did it. Now, we're gonna flip this over, and we're gonna sew a little button on the front, or on the back. So if you think about it this way, we're gonna have this on the front. We want this to be the front of our phone case, and we wanna be able to sew it so that there's a button that locks it here so our phones don't just fall out. So we're gonna sew our button on to this side. So this means we're gonna need our regular thread. So now we're gonna wanna put this button somewhere in the middle, closer to the top. And then before we totally finish this one, we wanna come up between the felt and the button. So not all the way through, but somewhere like there. And we're gonna come up And then we're just gonna take the thread and we're gonna wrap it around the button a few times. And then we're gonna go back behind the button to where we started. And we're gonna lock this stitch in place too. So now we have to make a hole for the button. So we're just gonna fold this over to the approximate place we wanna see the hole. And we're gonna make a tiny little cut like that. And our button should come through it. And voila, a buttonhole. So now we have to finish this up by closing the seam. So to do that, we're gonna fold this over the circuit like that. So our button is now on top. You can use some pins to hold this in place if you want. So just some straight pins, you weave them up and down and in and out. And we're just gonna sew shut this side and the bottom. We don't wanna sew shut this side because this is where our phone's gonna go in and out. And we're gonna get started just any way this works. You can do it however you want. Start as close to the corner as possible and leave like about an inch on the bottom. Okay, so as you get to the top, you want these stitches to be extra secure because this is the part that's gonna get the most action in its lifetime. So we're gonna do this thing where we make it extra secure by coming over the top and looping around the back like this so that we're making a loop around it. It's extra secure. So now everything is done. It looks like it's almost ready, except we can't see our original work. So we're gonna carefully turn this inside out. And that's the outside. We have our little button that comes in and locks our phone in place like that. And now we turn it on, it all works. And our little tilt switch is happy.
I'm so excited. You're gonna be so safe. My little phone stocking. Yeah. We should also mention that if you decide that sewing is not for you, there is conductive glue that you can buy online.
Yes.
So that's another option.
It's a little pricey. I just recommend sewing these in place on the non-colored portions and then using the hot glue to connect. So now that you've finished your cell phone case, we've provided a few extra parts for you guys at home to get exploring on your own. So you have everything you need. You have the battery and the switch on one part of the panel. There's 2 LEDs and there's the optional tilt switch for you guys to use. So you're gonna be able to use those however you want. But also, if you do not own a cell phone, which is totally reasonable, what I recommend, this is another favorite project, is getting an old pair of jeans and basically just cutting out the butt pocket and turning it into a little bit of a purse. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you on an old pair of my jeans real quick. Okay, so now you have what's already like a little pocket thingy, right? And if you want to make a strap for it, the best way to do that is to take the inseam. So you can just cut as much as you want for it to be a certain length. So if you get the idea, basically what you'll end up doing is you'll end up sewing this into here, the back part, and this into this, so that you end up with a little purse. But to decorate it, all you do is the same thing you did with the cell phone case, or the same thing that we did. So you can add these however you want, and now you have a cute little carry case. Ta-da! Super cute. We're not gonna sew this one for you guys because it's just, we don't have enough time. But this is a good alternative for the cell phone case if that's not something you're interested in doing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this month to learn about cell phone cases and how to make them light up. It has been a blast teaching you how to make these. Caroline, how can they tell us more about what they've decided to do with their extra bits at home?
Okay, so you can share all of your wearable tech creations with us on social media using the hashtag StemBox.
Hashtag StemBox. And if you have more questions about how to use these kits, you can go to mystembox.com and look at our box resources, or you can go to Lectrify's website, lectrify.it, and they have a ton of project ideas that you can use for all these switches. You can make them light up by connecting pipe cleaners, by connecting paper clips, copper tape. There's a lot, and these are Lego compatible, so if you have a Lego set at home, you can also use that.
So cool.
Yeah, and what are we doing next month?
So next month we're doing chromatography, which is the science of separating chemicals, and we are doing colors.
Yeah, we're using Kool-Aid. We are drinking the Kool-Aid next month and separating the colors in that chemical. Because let's be real, that's a chemical. Plus like 2 cups of sugar. So, all right, well, tune in next month. This has been Kina
And Caroline.
with StemBox Tutorials. I am so excited to see you guys next month. Thanks so much.
Bye.
There is something in this switch that's closing the gap like a bridge and then opening it. See how that works? Now that we know about the different components,